there's a fine line. You know, I mean, you obviously have to do enough sparring when you first get in the sport to get comfortable. You know, when I first got to Alpha Male, we sparred quite a bit. And I think it helped me out because it got me used to getting hit, got me used to competing with the best in the world. But now we've had a little more structure to our practices. We don't spar as much. You know, I'd say once, maybe twice a week, and you know, I feel like that's plenty. Once you have figured out the game and you can work more on the technique and do a lot more drilling instead of going live and then beating up your brain.
That's a very interesting question. Actually, I've been giving a lot of thought to the career longevity and how hard to go in practice and like where is the line? Where's the best line to walk where you're not going to sustain too much injury, too much head trauma, too much. What's the risk versus reward?
I don't spar heavy anymore at all. I stand up. We train MMA gloves, so I know what sneaks through, what doesn't. I don't take unnecessary punishment, but we throw everything 100%. Legitimately, we throw everything 100%. We just pull it before you hit the face, but we hit body and legs the same as always. I don't pull kicks at all. So if I throw a high kick and it kicks you in the head, your fault, buddy. You should have blocked that. But as far as like everything else and punching to the face, we don't do it that much. So I think for us, a lot of the examples or a lot of injury is kind of pulled out because like a lot of concussions, broken noses, chipped teeth, dislocated jaws, stuff like that doesn't happen that much anymore with us.
We do actual MMA sparring only twice a week. One day's with puffy gloves, one day's with big gloves. When guys are in camp, I try and get them through all the rounds they need wherever they're at in that camp. Outside of camp, I tell guys, limit that sparring to what you need. Come in, slow it down, be a training partner, but you don't have to do all the rounds. Pick and choose the rounds you want, do lighter rounds.
Because I've always been a martial artist, so we've always did, I guess, point fighting or point sparring where we're like, I could have knocked you out, and that's kind of actually my bad habit is where I actually spar guys where I should actually go more full force, kind of like how AKA does, because they go pretty hard versus like some other gyms where it's like, okay, we're just gonna play touch.
I think it all just depends on where you're at in your career. I think for the younger guys, like a little bit of that hard banging and sparring is important for them to just kind of harden them and get them used to that. You need that grind at some point in your career. I think for me, at some weeks, once, twice a week is usually plenty for me.
I just go hard.
You just go hard all the time?
I like sparring hard.
Do you think you should go less hard, or because you don't get hurt and have to pull out that often?
I don't really pull out. Right?
You just go hard and you can take it.
I don't get hit that much in training.
When you're training, you put the big gloves. The problem in UFC is small gloves, and it's easier to break your hand or get a knockout. When we train, we don't train to get a knockout. We train to apply the perfect shot.
Well, I think it needs to go in phases. If you got a fight staring you in the face, there's no substitute for the live competition in the training environment. But at the same time, and we were guilty of this at Team Quest back in the day, we had a wrestler's mentality. Wrestling is one of those few sports where we get on the mat every single day and go live matches, for several in a row, every single practice. And me and Danny and Matt and ultimately Robert, who ran Team Quest back in the day, we had that mentality. We came in there and strapped it up every single day. And then you go to some other gyms, most notably up in Seattle with Mo Smith and Matt Hume, much more technically oriented, not a lot of sparring at all on a weekly basis. And I'm like, wow, this is kind of weird. We come in and we do all these drills and all these, but I noticed, I was learning a bunch of stuff that I didn't really know. And I think somewhere in the middle is probably where we need to be. So when we came back from some of those trips, I was getting ready for Pedro Hizzo, the 2 times that I fought him up there, and came back and we kind of split the difference. We picked a certain day or 2 of the week where it was, red flag day. You better come in and tape your stuff on because we're going hard today. And on the other days, it was situations and drills and tactics and technique, and kind of balanced it out. And I think that probably needs to be the approach. You can't go hard every single day. You're going to get people hurt. Your body's going to break down. And I think ultimately, just as you said, that affects your longevity. I think one of the reasons why I lasted for 14 years in this sport was because I started thinking about it a little more and trained a little smarter instead of just a little harder.